The red warning lights flashed across the bridge of the Earth Defense Force ship Ranger as Commander Jake Mitchell studied the distress signal on his screen. The message was weak and broken, coming from somewhere deep in the asteroid belt. Most ships avoided this area because of the dangerous floating rocks, but someone was clearly in trouble. "Sir, the signal is coming from Kepler Station," reported Lieutenant Amy Rodriguez from her position at the communications console. "It's one of our mining facilities. The message says their hull is breached and life support is failing." Jake frowned as he looked at the tactical display. Kepler Station was supposed to be a safe operation, far from any known threats. "How long until we reach them?" 2 hours at maximum speed, sir," answered the navigator. "Then let's move." "Set course for Kepler Station, full speed ahead." The Ranger pushed through space, weaving carefully between the massive asteroids that drifted in. The belt. Jake had been patrolling this sector for 3 years, and he had never seen anything like the scene that greeted them. When they arrived at the mining station, Kepler Station was a wreck. The main hull had been torn open in several places, and debris floated around the structure like a metal cloud. Small fires still burned in some sections, visible through the damaged windows. But what caught Jake's attention was the alien ship that had crashed into the station's docking bay. "Sir, I'm reading one life sign aboard the station," reported Rodriguez. "It's not human." Jake stared at the readings on his screen. In all his years of service, he had never encountered an alien being. The Earth Defense Force had protocols for first contact, but those were theoretical procedures that no one expected to actually use. "Prepare a rescue team," Jake ordered. "Full environmental suits. We don't know what we're dealing with here." Dr. Lisa Harper, the ship's medical officer, gathered her emergency equipment as the rescue team prepared to board the damaged station. She had read every report about possible alien encounters, but her heart was racing as she realized she might be the first human doctor to treat a non-human patient. The rescue team moved carefully through the damaged corridors of Kepler Station. The air was thin and filled with smoke from the fires. Emergency lighting cast strange shadows on the walls, and the sound of creaking metal echoed through the empty halls. They found the alien in what had been the station's medical bay. The creature was unconscious and badly injured, lying on a makeshift bed that someone had created from debris. It was unlike anything in the xenobiology databases that Earth scientists had created from their theories about alien life. The being was tall and thin, about 7 feet in height, with pale skin that seemed to glow faintly in the dim light. Its limbs were longer than human proportions, and its face was angular with large eyes that remained closed. Most striking was the way its skin pulsed with soft light, like a heartbeat made visible. "His breathing is very shallow," Dr. Harper observed as she scanned the alien with her medical instruments. "His physiology is completely different from anything I've studied, but he's definitely alive." Jake knelt beside the injured creature, noting the peaceful expression on its face, despite the obvious pain it must be feeling. "Any idea what happened here?" Rodriguez examined the wreckage around them. "From the damage patterns, it looks like the station was attacked by raiders, but sir, look at this." She pointed to scorch marks on the walls that came from energy weapons. "These blast patterns suggest the alien ship was firing at the raiders, not at the station." "You mean he was defending the humans here?" Jake asked. "That's what it looks like. His ship took heavy damage, probably from protecting the station. But why would an alien risk his life for humans he didn't even know?" Dr. Harper worked frantically to stabilize the alien's condition. His cellular structure was unlike anything she had ever seen, but she could tell he was fighting to survive. "His body is trying to heal itself," she reported. "But he's lost a lot of blood, or whatever this blue fluid is that he uses instead of blood." For 3 days, the medical team worked around the clock to keep the alien alive. They had to guess at treatments, since none of their medical knowledge applied to his unique biology. Dr. Harper barely slept, constantly monitoring his vital signs and adjusting his care. Jake found himself spending long hours sitting beside the alien's bed, wondering about this being who had apparently sacrificed himself to protect humans. The creature's skin continued to pulse with that soft light, and sometimes Jake thought he could see dreams moving behind his closed eyelids. On the third day, the alien finally opened his eyes. They were large and silver, with an intelligence that immediately impressed Jake. The creature looked around the medical bay with confusion, then focused on the humans who had been caring for him. "You saved me," the alien said in broken English, his voice soft but clearly understandable. "I am Kale of the Zephyrian Collective. Why did you risk yourselves for a stranger?" Jake was amazed that the being could speak their language. "How do you know English?" "I have been listening to your transmissions for many years," Kale explained. "Your people broadcast many signals into space. I learned your language from your entertainment programs and news reports. But I do not understand why you helped me." Dr. Harper checked Kale's vital signs as he spoke. "You were injured defending our mining station. The least we could do was try to help you recover." Kale's skin glowed brighter, which they would later learn was a sign of emotion among his people. "You do not know me. I am not of your species. Yet you spent days keeping me alive. This is not behavior I expected from humans." "What did you expect?" Jake asked. "Based on your transmissions, I thought humans were violent and selfish. Your entertainment shows much conflict and competition." "But you three have shown me kindness I did not expect." Dr. Harper smiled. "Not all humans are like the ones you see in movies. Many of us try to help others when we can, regardless of who they are." Over the following days, Kale's strength returned gradually. He told them about his people, the Zephyrians, who lived in a distant part of the galaxy. He was a diplomat and healer, traveling between different worlds to study other species and share knowledge. "I was carrying medical supplies to treat a plague on Altair 7, Kale explained. "When I detected the attack on your station, I could not simply watch innocents die, so I intervened." "You risked your life for people you had never met?" Jake observed. "That's pretty remarkable." "All life has value," Kale replied simply. "But I did not expect humans to share this belief. Your actions have taught me that honor exists beyond my own kind." As Kale recovered, he observed the human crew with growing fascination. These beings showed kindness to someone completely alien to them, asked nothing in return, and treated him with genuine respect despite their obvious fear of the unknown. Dr. Harper spent hours with Kale, learning about his people and sharing human culture. She discovered that Kale was highly respected among his kind, known for his wisdom and healing abilities. His ship had been carrying supplies that could have saved thousands of lives, but he had chosen to defend the human station instead. "My people have a saying," Kale told Harper one evening as they watched Earth rise over the asteroid horizon through the station's repaired windows. "A debt of life creates bonds stronger than steel. You have given me more than my life back. You have shown me that honor exists beyond my own kind." When Kale's rescue ship arrived 2 weeks later, piloted by other Zephyrians, he stood before the assembled humans at the station. His skin glowed brighter than they had ever seen, a sign of deep emotion among his people. "Commander Mitchell, Dr. Harper, and all who dwell here," Kale said formally, "I declare a life debt to humanity. Should you ever have need, call upon Kale of the Zephyrian Collective, and I will answer." Most humans smiled politely, thinking it a touching but ultimately symbolic gesture. They had no idea that among Kale's people, such a declaration carried the weight of sacred law. Kale spent the next 3 weeks recovering aboard the Ranger while his people prepared a rescue ship to take him home. During this time, he watched the human crew go about their daily routines with growing amazement. These beings were nothing like what he had expected from studying their broadcasts. Every morning, Dr. Harper would check on his healing progress and spend time talking with him about both human and Zephyrian culture. She brought him books to read and showed him pictures of Earth. Kale was fascinated by the diversity of life on the human homeworld. "Your planet has so many different creatures," Kale observed as he looked through a nature book. "On my world, we have only a few species that survived the great climate change thousands of years ago. Earth has always been rich with life," Dr. Harper explained. "We've learned that diversity makes ecosystems stronger. The same is probably true for civilizations. Commander Mitchell visited Kale every day as well, sharing stories about human exploration and asking questions about Zephyrian technology. The two had developed a friendship based on mutual respect and curiosity. "Your people must be worried about you," Mitchell said one afternoon as they watched the stars through the ship's observation deck. "They are," Kale admitted. "But they also understand that I was following our most important law to protect life whenever possible. When they learn that humans risked themselves to save me, they will be very interested." "What do you mean?" Mitchell asked. Kale's skin pulsed with soft light as he considered his words. "Among my people, we have legends about species that show kindness to strangers. We call them honor carriers, beings who act with nobility even when no one is watching. We believe such species were myths until now." The crew of the Ranger had grown fond of their unusual guest. Lieutenant Rodriguez often brought him recordings of human music, which fascinated him. The ship's engineer, Pete Johnson, spent hours explaining human technology to Kale, who shared knowledge about Zephyrian healing techniques in return. "Your people are remarkable," Kale told Pete one day as they worked together in the engine room. "You have achieved space travel through cooperation and determination. Many species only reach the stars through conquest or desperation. We've had our share of conflicts," Pete admitted. "But we've learned that we accomplish more when we work together." As Kale grew stronger, he began to help around the ship. His knowledge of alien technology proved valuable when the Ranger encountered problems with their navigation systems. His healing abilities, while different from human medicine, helped Dr. Harper treat several crew members who had been injured in minor accidents. "You don't owe us anything," Dr. Harper told him one evening as he finished helping her reorganize the medical supplies. "We were happy to help you." "That is exactly why I owe you everything," Kale replied. "You expect nothing in return for your kindness. This is the rarest quality in the galaxy." During his recovery, Kale also shared stories about his travels throughout the galaxy. He had visited dozens of worlds and met many different species. Most encounters, he explained, were based on trade or necessity. Few species showed genuine interest in others without expecting some benefit. "The Kantari will only help you if you can pay them," Kale told the assembled crew during one of their evening meals together. The Vorthan Empire sees other species as either useful tools or obstacles to remove. The hegemony conquers worlds simply because they can. "Have you ever met species that were genuinely friendly?" asked Rodriguez. "A few," Kale replied. "The Altarians are peaceful, but they rarely leave their home system. The Centaurans are honorable, but they only help their established allies. You humans are the first species I have encountered that showed kindness to a complete stranger, from a completely unknown race." The crew listened with fascination as Kale described the various civilizations he had encountered. His stories painted a picture of a galaxy where most species were either isolated or hostile toward others. "Is that why you were traveling alone?" Mitchell asked. "I am a seeker," Kale explained. "My role among my people is to travel and learn about other species. I gather knowledge that helps my people understand the galaxy better. But I also look for species that might become friends rather than just trading partners." "And what have you learned about humans?" Dr. Harper asked. Kale's skin glowed brighter as he considered the question. "I have learned that your greatest strength is not your technology or your weapons. It is your ability to see other beings as worthy of respect and care. This is very rare." As the days passed, Kale's rescue ship drew closer to their location. The crew of the Ranger found themselves sad to see their new friend preparing to leave. He had become part of their daily routine, and his insights about other species had been both educational and entertaining. "Will we ever see you again?" Pete asked as they helped Kale pack his few belongings. "The galaxy is vast," Kale replied, "but I believe our paths will cross again. The universe has a way of bringing together those who are meant to be friends." Dr. Harper gave Kale a small medical scanner as a farewell gift. "This might be useful if you encounter other injured beings during your travels." Kale accepted the gift with gratitude. I will treasure this, not just for its usefulness, but as a reminder of human generosity. Commander Mitchell presented Kale with a datapad containing information about human culture, history, and philosophy. In case you want to learn more about us, he said. Thank you, Kale replied. I will study this carefully and share what I learn with my people. When the Zephyrian rescue ship finally arrived, it was unlike any vessel the humans had ever seen. The ship was elegant and curved, with a surface that seemed to shift colors like Kale's skin. It moved through space with graceful precision, easily maneuvering between the asteroids. Two other Zephyrians boarded the Ranger to escort Kale home. They were similar to him in appearance but carried themselves with formal dignity. They examined Kale carefully, clearly concerned about his injuries. These humans saved my life, Kale explained to his rescuers in their own language. Then he switched to English so the human crew could understand. Commander Mitchell, Dr. Harper, Lieutenant Rodriguez, Engineer Johnson, and all the crew of the Ranger, you have shown me that honor exists beyond my own kind. The formal ceremony that followed was unlike anything the humans had expected. Kale stood in the center of the ship's main deck with his fellow Zephyrians on one side and the human crew on the other. His skin began to glow with an intensity they had never seen before. I, Kale of the Zephyrian Collective, Fourth Circle Healer and Seeker of the Outer Rim, do hereby declare a life debt to the species known as humanity, he announced in a voice that carried throughout the ship. This debt extends beyond my own. Life to my family, my clan, and my people. Should humanity ever have need, we will answer. The other Zephyrians repeated the declaration in their own language, their skin also glowing brightly. The human crew stood in respectful silence, not fully understanding the significance of what they were witnessing. We are honored by your friendship. Commander Mitchell replied formally. Safe travels, Kale of the Zephyrian Collective. As Kale prepared to leave the Ranger, he took one last look around the ship that had been his home for nearly a month. Remember, he told the crew, you have given me more than my life. You have given me hope that the galaxy can be a place of friendship rather than just survival. The Zephyrian ship departed as gracefully as it had arrived, disappearing into the asteroid field with Kale aboard. The crew of the Ranger watched until it was completely out of sight. Do you think he meant it? Rodriguez asked as they returned to their normal duties. About the life debt? I think Kale is the type who keeps his promises, Dr. Harper replied. But I doubt we'll ever need to call on him for help. Commander Mitchell nodded, but something in Kale's formal declaration had suggested that among his people, such promises carried more weight than humans might realize. Only time would tell. If their new friend would remember his debt when it truly mattered. 15 years had passed since the rescue of Kale from the damaged mining station. Commander Jake Mitchell was now Admiral Mitchell, sitting in his office aboard Luna Station and looking out at the blue marble of Earth below. The years had been good to humanity. They had expanded to dozens of star systems and established peaceful contact with several alien species. Dr. Lisa Harper had left military service to become the director of the Galactic Medical Research Center on Mars. Her work, with alien biology started during Kale's recovery, had led to breakthrough treatments for diseases that had plagued humanity for centuries. She often thought about their Zephyrian friend, but had never heard from him again. Lieutenant Amy Rodriguez was now Captain Rodriguez, commanding the deep space exploration vessel Endeavour. She spent her days mapping new star systems and making first contact with previously unknown species. Her ship was currently stationed near the edge of human space, monitoring long-range communications. The peaceful expansion of humanity had not gone unnoticed by other powers in the galaxy. The hegemony, a brutal alliance of militaristic species, had been watching human growth with growing concern. They controlled a vast territory through fear and superior firepower, and they saw humanity's peaceful expansion as a threat to their authority. The hegemony had a simple philosophy: submit or be destroyed. They had conquered hundreds of worlds using this approach, turning entire species into slaves or wiping them out completely. Their technology was advanced, their fleets were massive, and their methods were without mercy. What worried the hegemony? Most about humans was not their military power, which was still relatively weak, but their tendency to help other species. Humans had been providing aid to refugees from hegemony attacks, offering sanctuary to displaced populations, and even sharing technology with species that the hegemony wanted to keep weak. "These humans are becoming a problem," declared Supreme Commander Vex during a meeting of the Hegemony High Council. "They interfere with our expansion and encourage resistance among our subject species." "Their military is weak," replied War Leader Gorth. "We could crush them easily." "Yes, but they have made friends with many species," Vex pointed out. "If we attack them directly, we might face unexpected resistance from their allies." The hegemony decided to send humanity an ultimatum. It would give them a chance to surrender peacefully while demonstrating the overwhelming power that would be used against them if they refused. Captain Rodriguez was on the bridge of the Endeavor when the message arrived. The communication was broadcast on all frequencies, ensuring that every human ship and station in the galaxy would receive it simultaneously. "Attention, species known as humanity," the message began in perfect English. "I am Supreme Commander Vex of the Hegemony. Your expansion into our territory ends now. You have 48 hours to cease all refugee operations and submit to hegemony rule. All human ships must report to the nearest hegemony base for processing. All human colonies must lower their defenses and await occupation." The message continued, with a list of demands that would essentially end human independence. Then came the threat that made Rodriguez's blood run cold. "Failure to comply with these demands will result in the complete destruction of your homeworld. We have positioned a fleet capable of sterilizing your planet within 2 standard days. You have been warned." Rodriguez immediately forwarded the message to Luna Station and began preparing her ship for emergency departure. The Endeavor was too far from Earth to help directly, but she could begin evacuating civilians from the outer colonies if necessary. Admiral Mitchell received the message. While meeting with the Earth Defense Council, the room fell silent as the ultimatum played. When it ended, the council members looked at each other with expressions of shock and fear. "Can we fight them?" asked General Collins, the head of Earth's military forces. "No," Mitchell replied grimly. "Our intelligence reports suggest their main fleet has over 1,000 ships. We have maybe 100 vessels capable of space combat, and most of those are exploration ships with light weapons. What about our allies?" asked Dr. Harper, who had been called to the emergency meeting in her role as Director of Interspecies Relations. "The Altarians are peaceful and don't have military ships," Mitchell explained. "The Centaurans might help, but they're dealing with their own border conflicts. The other species we've contacted are either too far away or too weak to make a difference." The room was quiet as the reality of the situation sank in. Humanity faced complete destruction at the hands of an enemy they could not defeat. "We could try to negotiate," suggested Senator Williams, the head of the Colonial Council. "The hegemony doesn't negotiate," Dr. Harper replied. "They've destroyed dozens of civilizations that tried to bargain with them. Their demands are designed to be impossible to accept. So what do we do?" asked General Collins. Mitchell stared out the window at Earth, thinking about the billions of people who had no idea their world was about to be threatened. "We prepare for the worst and hope for a miracle." The next 24 hours were the most intense in human history. Ships were recalled from across the galaxy. Evacuation plans were prepared for the most important colonies. Military units were positioned to defend Earth, even though everyone knew it would be hopeless. Dr. Harper spent the day in her office, reviewing every contact humanity had made with alien species. She searched through diplomatic files, looking for anyone who might be willing to help. As the hours passed, her hope faded. No one had the power to stand against the hegemony. Then she remembered something that made her sit up straight in her chair. Buried in the old files from the Kepler Station incident was a formal document that had been filed after Kale's rescue. It was the official report of his life debt declaration, written in both English and Zephyrian. "A life debt to the species known as humanity," she read aloud. This debt extends beyond my own life to my family, my clan, and my people. Should humanity ever have need, we will answer. Dr. Harper had learned a lot about alien cultures during her years of research. She knew that among many species, formal declarations like this carried enormous weight. But she also knew that 15 years was a long time, and Cal might not even be alive anymore. Still, it was their only hope. She contacted Admiral Mitchell immediately. Jake, I need you to authorize an emergency transmission to the Zephyrian Collective. We need to call in a very old favor. What are you talking about? Mitchell asked. Kale, the alien we rescued 15 years ago. He made a formal promise to help us if we ever needed it. I know it sounds crazy, but we don't have any other options. Mitchell was quiet for a long moment. Do you really think he meant it? Kale's people don't make empty promises, Harper replied. But even if he remembers us, I don't know what one alien can do against an entire armada. At this point, we'll take any help we can get, Mitchell decided. Send the message. Dr. Harper composed the transmission carefully, using the formal language protocols that Kale had taught her years ago. The message was simple but carried the weight of desperation. Kale of the Zephyrian Collective, this is Dr. Lisa Harper of Earth. The human species faces extinction at the hands of the hegemony. We have need of your help. Please remember your promise. The message was sent through the old diplomatic channels that the Zephyrians had provided during Kale's visit. It would take hours to reach Zephyrian space, and there was no guarantee that anyone would receive it or respond. As the second day of the ultimatum began, humanity waited for either salvation or destruction. The hegemony fleet was moving toward Earth, and long-range sensors showed it was even larger than expected. Over 1,500 ships of various sizes, all armed with weapons that could turn planets into lifeless rocks. Still, no response from the Zephyrians, reported the communications officer. Admiral Mitchell nodded grimly. Keep monitoring all channels. If help is coming, we need to know about it. But as the hours passed and the hegemony fleet grew closer, it seemed that humanity would face its greatest challenge alone. The response came faster than anyone had expected. Only 6 hours after Dr. Harper's desperate message was sent, the communications array at Luna Station detected an incoming transmission from deep space. The signal was strong and clear, using Zephyrian encryption protocols that hadn't been used in over a decade. Admiral Mitchell was awakened from a brief nap in his office when Lieutenant Carter rushed in with the news. Sir, we're receiving a priority message from the Zephyrian Collective. It's not from Kale, but from their High Council. Mitchell sat up quickly, his heart racing. Put it through to the main conference room. Get Dr. Harper here immediately. Within minutes, the emergency council had assembled. The message began to play, translated into perfect English by the same systems that had been used during Kale's original visit. To the leaders of the human species, the formal voice began. This is High Counselor Zara of the Zephyrian Collective. We have received your call for assistance. The life debt of Kale, son of the Fourth Circle, has been acknowledged by our governing body. The Zephyrian Collective honors all debts, regardless of time passed or distance traveled. Prepare coordinates for our arrival. We come with purpose. The transmission ended, leaving the council members staring at each other in amazement. Dr. Harper felt tears in her eyes as she realized that Kale had not forgotten them, and more importantly, his people took such promises seriously. How long? Until they arrive? Asked General Collins. Unknown, replied Lieutenant Carter. But the message suggests they're already on their way. Admiral Mitchell stood up and walked to the window overlooking Earth. Even if they come, what can they do? The hegemony fleet has 1,500 ships. How many could the Zephyrians possibly send? We're about to find out, Dr. Harper said quietly. The answer came 18 hours later, with less than 6 hours remaining before the hegemony ultimatum expired. Captain Rodriguez, still patrolling the outer edges of the solar system aboard the Endeavour, was the first to detect the incoming fleet. Admiral Mitchell, this is Captain Rodriguez, came her excited voice over the communications system. You need to see this. I'm transmitting visual data now. The main screen in the Luna Station Command Center lit up with an image that left everyone speechless. Ships were emerging from hyperspace at the edge of the solar system, but not just a few ships. Dozens of vessels appeared, then hundreds, then more than anyone could count quickly. "How many ships are we looking at?" Mitchell asked his tactical officer. "Still counting, sir. So far I've identified over 200 vessels, and more are still arriving." But what amazed the humans even more than the number of ships was their variety. The graceful, color-shifting vessels were clearly Zephyrian, but there were also ships they recognized from their diplomatic files. The angular, silver ships belonged to the Altarians. The blue and gold vessels were Centauran Federation ships. There were others that no human had ever seen before. "Admiral," came Rodriguez's voice again, "I'm receiving a transmission request. It's from a Zephyrian ship requesting permission to dock with Luna Station." "Granted," Mitchell replied immediately. "All ships, stand down to welcome formation. Do not take any action that could be seen as hostile." The Zephyrian ship that approached Luna Station was larger and more elegant than any they had seen before. It docked with smooth precision, and within minutes, a delegation was requesting permission to board. Admiral Mitchell, Dr. Harper, and General Collins met the delegation in the main docking bay. Leading the group was a tall Zephyrian whose skin glowed with golden light. Behind him walked several other aliens, including species that humans had never encountered before. "I am High Counselor Zara of the Zephyrian Collective," the lead figure announced. "With me are representatives of 47 different species who have come to honor the debt owed to humanity." Dr. Harper stepped forward, hardly believing what she was hearing. 47 species? But we only called for help from the Zephyrians. Zara's skin pulsed with warm light. What humans had learned was a sign of pleasure among his people. "Dr. Harper, your reputation precedes you. Kale has spoken of you often during his years as a member of our High Council. Kale is alive?" Dr. Harper asked with delight. "Very much so, and eager to see his old friends again. But first we must address the immediate threat to your world." The delegation was escorted to the main conference room, where Zara explained the situation in terms that left the human leadership amazed. "When Kale returned to our world 15 years ago, he brought with him more than just stories of human kindness," Zara began. "He brought proof that honor and compassion existed beyond our own species. This was something we had hoped for, but never seen. But how did this bring so many species to help us?" Admiral Mitchell asked. "The story of Kale's rescue spread throughout our diplomatic networks," Zara explained. "Many species had benefited from Zephyrian medical aid and technological assistance over the centuries. When they learned that humans had risked their lives to save one of our healers, asking for nothing in return, they wanted to meet this remarkable species." Another alien stepped forward, one with blue skin and 4 arms. "I am Ambassador Thale of the Altarian Harmony. Your Dr. Harper's medical research, shared freely with all species, saved millions of lives on our worlds. When we learned of your crisis, we could not stand by." A third alien with silver scales and large eyes spoke next. "I am Fleet Commander Voss of the Centauran Federation. Human traders and diplomats have always dealt with us fairly and honestly. This is rare in the galaxy. We stand with Earth." One by one, representatives of dozens of species explained why they had come. Humans had helped evacuate refugees from hegemony attacks. Human scientists had shared medical knowledge that stopped plagues. Human explorers had warned isolated worlds about approaching dangers. Human traders had been fair and honest in their dealings. "You see," Zara said, as the testimonials concluded, "humanity's debt to Kale was small compared to the debts the galaxy owes to humanity. You have spent 15 years proving that Kale's assessment of your species was correct." At that moment, another familiar voice spoke from the back of the room. "My friends, it is good to see you again." Everyone turned to see Kale entering the conference room. He was older, with more elaborate markings on his skin that indicated his higher rank, but his warm personality was unchanged. Dr. Harper rushed to embrace their old friend. while Admiral Mitchell and the others gathered around, with expressions of joy and relief. "Cale, you remembered," Dr. Harper said, her voice filled with emotion. "How could I forget the beings who showed me that compassion transcends species?" Cale replied. "But Lisa, Jake, Amy, you must understand. This is not just about my debt to you. This is about the debt the entire galaxy owes to humanity." "What do you mean?" Admiral Mitchell asked. Cale's skin glowed brightly as he explained. "For 15 years I have served as humanity's advocate in the Galactic Council. Every act of kindness, every moment of assistance you have provided to other species has been recorded and shared. You have become known throughout civilized space as the species that helps others without expecting a reward. The hegemony made a mistake when they threatened Earth," added High Counselor Zara. "They thought humanity was alone and friendless. They did not understand that you had spent years building the most powerful alliance in galactic history, an alliance based on friendship rather than fear." General Collins looked at the tactical displays showing the massive fleet that had gathered to defend Earth. "How many ships do we have?" "Currently, 843 vessels from 47 different species," reported Fleet Commander Voss. "More are arriving every hour as word spreads through our networks." "And the hegemony?" Admiral Mitchell asked. 1,500 ships, Cale replied. "But Commander Mitchell, they have never faced a united galaxy before. Most of their victories come from fighting isolated species one at a time. Today, they face something unprecedented." Dr. Harper looked around the room at all the alien faces, representatives of species from across the galaxy, who had come to defend a world they had never seen because of the kindness humans had shown to one injured Zephyrion 15 years ago. "This is incredible," she said softly. "All of this because we helped one person in need." "No," Cale corrected gently. "All of this because you have spent 15 years proving that the kindness you showed me was not an exception, but the rule. Today, the galaxy returns the favor." The hegemony fleet arrived at the edge of the solar system exactly 48 hours after their ultimatum had been delivered. Supreme Commander Vex stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Destroyer of Worlds, expecting to see a defenseless, human homeworld ready to surrender. Instead, his sensors detected something that made him question his own equipment. "Report?" Vex demanded from his tactical officer. "Sir, I'm reading massive numbers of ships in the system. At least 800. Vessels, possibly more. They're arranged in defensive formations around the human homeworld." Vex studied the display with growing confusion. "That's impossible. Human military intelligence shows they have fewer than 100 combat-capable ships. Run a full scan and identify these vessels." The results that came back made Vex's blood run cold. The fleet defending Earth included ships from dozens of species across the galaxy. Many were from civilizations that the hegemony had been carefully avoiding because they were too powerful or too well defended to attack easily. "Sir," reported his communications officer, "we're receiving a transmission from the human fleet." "Put it through," Vex ordered, still trying to understand what he was seeing. Admiral Mitchell's voice filled the bridge of the hegemony flagship. "This is Admiral Jake Mitchell of the Earth Defense Force. Supreme Commander Vex, you are greatly outnumbered and outgunned. Withdraw your fleet immediately or face the consequences." Vex activated his own transmission system, his voice filled with disbelief and anger. "This is impossible. Humans are insignificant. No one would risk war with the hegemony for such a minor species." A new voice joined the transmission, one that spoke with calm authority. "You are wrong, Supreme Commander. I am High Counselor Zara of the Zephyrian Collective, speaking for the Galactic Defense Alliance. Humanity's significance is not measured in military might, but in the bonds they have forged through compassion and honor." Cale's voice came next, broadcasting on all frequencies so every ship in both fleets could hear. "Today, 47 species stand with Earth. We stand here not because we fear the hegemony, but because we have learned that some things are worth defending. Humanity has shown us that the galaxy can be a place of friendship rather than conquest. On the bridge of Luna Station, Admiral Mitchell watched the tactical displays with amazement. The Allied fleet had grown even larger during the night. Ships continued to arrive as word spread through galactic communication networks. Species that had never worked together before were now coordinating their movements to defend the world most of them had never visited. Dr. Harper stood beside him, monitoring the communications channels as messages flooded in from across the galaxy. "Jake, listen to this," she said, playing a recording. "This is from the Vegan Commonwealth. They're sending their entire home fleet to help us." "And this one is from the Outer Rim Confederacy," added Lieutenant Carter. "They're offering to share their shield technology with any ship that needs it." Captain Rodriguez, commanding the forward elements of the Allied fleet aboard the Endeavor, reported the hegemony's response. "Admiral, the enemy fleet is holding position. They seem uncertain about how to proceed." On the hegemony flagship, Supreme Commander Vex was indeed uncertain. His military advisors were telling him that attacking such a large Allied force would result in massive casualties, even if they won. More importantly, it would bring the hegemony into conflict with dozens of species simultaneously, something their empire had always avoided. "Sir," his intelligence officer reported, "we're detecting more ships arriving in the system. Long range. Sensors show at least 6 more fleets approaching from different directions." "How is this possible?" Vex demanded. "How did humanity gather such support?" War leader Gorth, who had originally suggested that humans would be easy to defeat, studied the intelligence reports with growing concern. "Sir, our analysis shows that every species in this alliance has had positive contact with humans over the past 15 years. Trade agreements, medical assistance, refugee aid, technological sharing. You're telling me that humanity built this alliance through kindness?" Vex asked incredulously. "It appears so, sir. They've been helping other species without asking for military alliances in return. But when humanity called for help, everyone remembered." Meanwhile, on his own ship within the Allied fleet, Kale was coordinating with the various species commanders. The diversity of the fleet was staggering. Ships that used completely different technologies were working together with a coordination that surprised even him. "This is Commander Yates of the Altarian science vessel Harmony," came one transmission. "Our shields are at full strength and ready to protect any ships that need additional protection." "Centauran Fleet Admiral Thorne here," came another voice. "Our weapon systems are online, but we're hoping we won't need to use them." "Outer Rim Patrol Captain Sanders reporting," said a third voice. "We've got fast scout ships ready to intercept any hegemony vessels that try to break formation." Kale smiled as he listened to the communications. These species had different languages, different cultures, and different technologies, but they were all united by their respect for humanity's consistent acts of kindness. The standoff continued for several hours with neither fleet making aggressive moves. Then High Counselor Zara made a decision that would change galactic history. "Open a channel to all ships allied in hegemony," Zara announced. When the channel was established, Zara's voice carried across space to every vessel in both fleets. "Supreme Commander Vex, you have stated that humanity is insignificant. Allow me to correct this misunderstanding. 15 years ago, humans rescued one of our healers from a damaged space station. They risked their lives for a being they had never met, from a species they had never encountered. They asked for nothing in return except the opportunity to help." Zara's words were being recorded and transmitted throughout the galaxy by dozens of news networks. Since that day, humanity has provided medical aid to prevent plagues, offered sanctuary to refugees from wars they did not start, and shared their knowledge freely with any species that asked. The species standing with Earth today represent billions of beings whose lives have been improved by human compassion. We do not stand here because we were ordered to, or because we signed treaties requiring it. We stand here because humanity has earned our friendship through their actions. Supreme Commander Vex found himself facing a choice he had never expected to make. His fleet was outnumbered 2-1, and more allied ships were still arriving. Even if he won the battle, the cost would be enormous. and the hegemony would face a united galaxy that had learned to work together. "Sir," his tactical officer reported quietly, "long-range sensors are detecting 3 more Allied fleets approaching. At current rates, we'll be outnumbered 4-1 within 6 hours." Vex realized that attacking Earth would not just mean fighting humanity, it would mean fighting half the galaxy. For the first time in hegemony history, they faced an enemy that had more friends than they had weapons. "All hegemony ships," Vex announced on his fleet's internal communications, "prepare to withdraw from the system. We are reassessing our position regarding human space." The Allied fleet watched in amazement as the massive hegemony armada slowly turned away from Earth and began moving back toward the edge of the system. No shots had been fired, but the most powerful military force in the galaxy had been defeated by something they had never encountered before. An alliance based on friendship rather than fear. As the hegemony ships disappeared into hyperspace, celebrations began throughout the Allied fleet. On Luna Station, Admiral Mitchell found himself overwhelmed by messages of congratulation and friendship from dozens of species. "Admiral Mitchell," came Kale's voice over the communications system, "the immediate threat has passed, but I believe this day has changed more than just Earth's fate." Dr. Harper was monitoring the galactic news networks, which were broadcasting the story across known space. "Jake, listen to this. Species that have never communicated before are talking about forming permanent alliances. The hegemony's threat has brought together civilizations that have been isolated for centuries." Admiral Mitchell looked out at the massive fleet that had gathered to defend his world. Ships from 47 different species, all united by their respect for human kindness. Who would have thought that helping one injured alien would lead to this? Kale's ship docked with Luna Station once more, and he came aboard for a private meeting with his old friends. His skin glowed with the brightest light they had ever seen as he embraced Admiral Mitchell and Dr. Harper. "My friends," Kale said, "today the galaxy learned something that my people have known for 15 years. Humanity's greatest weapon is not your technology or your courage, though you have both. Your greatest weapon is your ability to make others want to be better than they thought possible." Dr. Harper smiled as she looked at the tactical display showing hundreds of Allied ships still protecting Earth. "And now?" "Now," Kale replied, "the galaxy will never be the same. The hegemony has learned that conquest has limits when faced with friendship. Other species have learned that cooperation is more powerful than isolation. And humanity has proven that kindness really can change the universe."